Everyone thought the dog was strange for staying in the graveyard, but no one knew he was there for a reason. In the quiet town of Fairwood, there was a graveyard on a small green hill. The trees there were tall, and the wind made them whisper at night. People didn't go there often. Some said it was spooky. Others said it was peaceful. But one thing was true: a dog lived there all by himself. No one knew where the dog came from. He just showed up one rainy afternoon. He was big and strong, with black and brown fur and a little scar on one ear. He didn't bark much. He didn't chase squirrels or dig holes. He just stayed by one grave near the back of the graveyard, day and night. The townspeople called him Valor, which means brave. They thought it was strange that a dog would live in a place full of tombstones and silence. Some were even a little scared of him. But the dog never hurt anyone. He just watched and waited. There was one person Valor seemed to like. His name was Mr. Henry Whitlock, the old man who took care of the graveyard. Mr. Henry wore a brown coat and a floppy hat. He had white hair and kind eyes, but he didn't talk to people much. Mr. Henry had a secret. The grave that Valor watched over was very special. It was where Mr. Henry's only son was buried. His son had passed away many years ago, and ever since, Mr. Henry came to the graveyard every day to rake leaves, plant flowers, and whisper stories to the wind. At first, Mr. Henry didn't want the dog around. "Shoo, go home," he said. But Valor didn't leave. He curled up right beside the boy's grave and stayed there through the night, even when it rained. Little by little, Mr. Henry began to leave scraps of food. Valor would eat and wag his tail gently. He never barked. He never ran away. He just stayed close, like he was guarding something important. Then, one evening, something strange happened. Valor stood up suddenly. His ears perked. His nose twitched. He looked toward the trees at the edge of the graveyard and growled. A deep, low growl that made Mr. Henry freeze. "What is it, boy?" Mr. Henry asked softly. Valor didn't answer. Of course, dogs don't speak. But his eyes stayed fixed on the trees. The leaves rustled. The wind stopped. And far in the dark, something moved. Something or someone was watching them. The sky turned dark, and the stars began to shine. Mr. Henry picked up his tools and started walking toward his little house near the graveyard gates. Valor usually followed him. But not this time. The big dog stayed still, staring into the woods. "Valor," Mr. Henry called. "Come on, boy." Valor didn't move. He let out another soft growl. Mr. Henry squinted into the trees, but it was too dark to see anything. Maybe it was a raccoon. Maybe it was nothing. Still, the way Valor was acting made Mr. Henry's heart feel heavy, like a rock in his chest. That night, Mr. Henry left his back door open just a little, so Valor could come inside if he wanted. But Valor didn't come in. He stayed outside, lying in the grass near the grave, his eyes still watching the trees. The next morning, something was different. There were footprints in the mud near the back fence. Not animal prints, boots. Big ones. Mr. Henry's eyes went wide. "Someone was here," he whispered. He looked at Valor. The dog was sniffing the footprints. Then he barked, just once, but it was loud and strong, like a warning. Later that day, a police officer named Officer Jenny stopped by. She was young and friendly, with a flashlight on her belt. "Mr. Henry," she said, "we've had some break-ins around town. People's sheds are being opened, tools and food stolen. If you see anything strange, let me know." Mr. Henry nodded. He looked down at Valor. The dog was still watching the woods. That night, the wind blew hard. The trees swayed and groaned. Mr. Henry tried to sleep, but something felt wrong. Suddenly, crash. A loud sound came from behind the graveyard. Mr. Henry jumped out of bed. He grabbed his flashlight and ran to the window. The back fence had been broken, and Valor was gone. "Valor!" Mr. Henry shouted, racing out the door. He ran through the graveyard, heart pounding, flashlight shaking in his hand. He reached the broken fence and looked into the woods. There, deep in the trees, eyes flashed. And then he heard it. A bark, a growl, a shout. Someone was out there, and Valor was chasing them. Valor ran fast through the dark trees. His paws thudded on the wet ground. Branches whipped at his face, but he didn't stop. He was chasing the man, the one who broke the fence, the one who didn't belong. The man wore a black coat and had a bag full of stolen things. He kept looking back, scared of the big dog behind him. "Go away," the man yelled. But Valor didn't listen. He barked loud and deep, warning the man to leave. The man slipped on some leaves and almost fell, but he got up and kept running. Back at the graveyard, Mr. Henry tried to follow. But he was too old to run fast, and the woods were dark and thick. "Be careful, boy," he whispered, standing at the edge. "Please come back." In the woods, Valor was getting closer. He could smell the man's fear. He could hear the man's heavy breathing. Then crash. The man tripped over a tree root and tumbled down a steep hill. His bag flew from his hand and hit a rock. Tools and flashlights spilled everywhere. The man groaned and held his leg. He couldn't get up. Valor slowed down. He walked closer, still growling.
He didn't bite.
He didn't attack. He just stood guard, barking over and over, calling for help. The man tried to crawl away, but Valor stood in front of him. He was like a wall. He wouldn't let the man pass. Back at the edge of the woods, Officer Jenny arrived in her police car. She saw Mr. Henry and asked what happened. "It's Valor," Mr. Henry said. "He chased someone into the woods. I think it was the thief." Without a word, Officer Jenny grabbed her flashlight and radio. "Don't worry," she said. "We'll find him." She followed the broken fence, shining her light between the trees. "Valor," she called. "Where are you, boy?" Then she heard it.
Bark, bark, bark.
Follow the sound. Mr. Henry shouted behind her. Officer Jenny ran toward the barking. And there she saw it, Valor, standing proud and strong, keeping the man on the ground. She quickly called for backup and handcuffed the man. "You picked the wrong town," she said. Valor wagged his tail just once. He had done his job. The thief was taken away in a police car. Everyone said Valor was a hero. Officer Jenny gave him a big bone. Mr. Henry gave him a warm blanket and a soft bed. "You saved the town," Mr. Henry told him, patting his head. "Good boy." But Valor didn't wag his tail much. He kept looking toward the woods. Something still didn't feel right. Later that night, dark clouds rolled in. The wind howled, and lightning flashed across the sky. A big storm was coming. Mr. Henry looked out the window and saw the trees bending in the wind. "Let's stay inside tonight," he told Valor. Valor sat by the door, ears up, tail still. Then, a loud howl of wind shook the house. Rain started to fall hard and thunder boomed. Suddenly, boom. A loud crack came from outside. The old tree near the back of the graveyard had fallen. It smashed part of the stone fence and blocked the back path. Mr. Henry grabbed his flashlight and ran to the door. Valor was already up, ready to go. "Wait, boy," Mr. Henry called. But Valor dashed out into the storm. The graveyard was flooding. Water rushed down the hill, turning paths into rivers. Valor leaped over fallen branches and splashed through the mud. Then he heard it. A tiny bark. A whimper. It came from the broken tree. He ran toward the sound and saw something small and shivering in the mud. A puppy. It must have gotten lost in the storm. Maybe it had no home. It was stuck under part of the tree, cold and scared. Valor barked to let Mr. Henry know. But the wind was too loud. No one could hear him. The rain got worse. The water was rising fast. Valor had a choice. He could run back to safety, or he could stay and save the little one. He looked at the puppy's frightened eyes.
And he made his choice.
Valor bit and tugged at the heavy branch. It was hard work, but he didn't stop. His paws slipped. His legs hurt. But he pulled and pulled. Finally, crack. The branch rolled away. Valor gently picked up the puppy by the scruff of its neck and ran back through the storm. When Mr. Henry saw him coming, his eyes went wide. "Valor," he cried, "you brought a baby?" Valor laid the puppy down on a dry blanket and gave it one little lick on the head. Mr. Henry smiled through his tears. "You saved him," he whispered. Valor curled around the puppy and closed his eyes. The storm howled outside, but inside they were safe. The next morning, the storm was gone. The sun peeked through the clouds. Birds chirped in the trees again. But the graveyard, it was a mess. Trees were down. Stones were cracked. And the back gate was still broken. Mr. Henry looked at all the damage. "This is going to take a lot of work," he sighed. Valor stood beside him, tired but strong. The little puppy, now dry and warm, followed Valor everywhere, like a tiny shadow. Officer Jenny came by to check on them. "Storm knocked out power all over town," she said. "We're cleaning up roads and checking on folks. But be careful, some people take advantage after storms." Mr. Henry nodded. "We'll stay alert." That night, the wind was quiet, but Valor didn't rest. His ears twitched. His nose sniffed the air. Something felt wrong. Then he heard it, footsteps. Not animal ones. Heavy, slow, sneaky footsteps. Valor growled softly and moved toward the noise. He left the sleeping puppy curled up on the porch. In the shadows, two men in dark clothes climbed over the broken back gate. They whispered and pointed toward Mr. Henry's tool shed. "Everyone's distracted from the storm," one man said. "We can take what we want." Valor didn't bark yet. He waited.
Watched.
The men crept closer to the shed. One pulled out a crowbar. The other had a bag. Valor took a deep breath.
Now.
He leapt from the shadows with a loud, powerful bark. The men froze. "It's that dog," one of them yelled. Valor ran straight at them, teeth bared, growling fiercely. One man turned to run. The other tried to swing the crowbar, but Valor dodged it. Mr. Henry, awakened by the noise, flicked on his porch light and grabbed his phone. "I'm calling the police," he shouted. Officer Jenny was nearby. She arrived in just minutes, lights flashing and siren blaring. When she reached the graveyard, she saw Valor still guarding one of the men, holding him down without biting, just standing strong and proud. The other man had already run off into the woods. "You caught another one, Valor," she said, amazed. "You really are something." She handcuffed the man and radioed for backup. Valor sat down, tired but calm. Then he heard a tiny whine. The puppy had followed him, but now it was limping. A sharp stick had poked its paw while running through the bushes. Valor walked over and gently licked the puppy's paw. Then he looked up at Mr. Henry with big, worried eyes. Mr. Henry picked up the puppy and hugged Valor tight. "You protected us again, boy," he whispered. "Even when you were already tired. You never stopped caring." Valor leaned into his hug.
He had passed the test.
Not just with strength, but with heart. The next day, the town was quiet again. Sunlight warmed the wet grass. The trees dripped slowly. The graveyard was still messy, but it was peaceful now, safe. Mr. Henry sat on the porch, sipping warm tea. Valor lay beside him, resting his head on Mr. Henry's foot. The little puppy curled up on Valor's back, fast asleep. "You've had a big week," Mr. Henry said, smiling down at him. "You stopped a thief, saved a puppy, and protected this place twice." Valor wagged his tail just a little. He didn't need medals. He didn't need big cheers. He just wanted to protect the place he loved. Officer Jenny came by again. She brought a big bag of treats and a small bandage for the puppy's paw. "Looks like someone's learning from the best," she said, petting Valor. "And I think we found a name for your little friend." Mr. Henry raised an eyebrow. "Oh, how about Hope?" she said. "Because that's what Valor gave us all." Mr. Henry smiled. "Hope it is." Valor licked the puppy's ear, and little Hope squeaked and nuzzled closer. Together, they watched the townspeople begin to clean up. Neighbors helped each other fix fences and sweep streets. Even the mayor stopped by to thank Valor. "He's more than a dog," the mayor said. "He's part of this town." That night, Mr. Henry placed a warm blanket on the porch. Valor lay down beside Hope, keeping her close. The stars twinkled above, and a soft wind moved through the trees. There was no fear, no danger, just the soft sounds of night. Valor closed his eyes. He had done his job. He had kept everyone safe. And now, at last, he could rest.